You look at Toney at this weight all along that this is the weight he should be at, and that at this weight he won't lose the stamina that he lost as a middleweight, and that he'll fight him for not doing it.
Well, Iran Barkley, when I said
Sterling for Iran Barkley.
The fight that made, I can speak for myself, that made me that way was the fight with...
That was early on. That has continued to hone his... Mentioned that he had been a very fine middleweight, one of the best in the world. Van Horn in about the... He stays in there with everybody. And you can... Jorge Pai fought often in championship and non-title fights.
Right hand by Toney and a left hand behind it. Times we see fight in. Then on there, Norris is another guy.
Told us today, he said, I need to get my... Toney digging to the body. Good defensive work by Thomas, though.
Nice right hand up.
This is a very competitive match right here to see him in.
Come to the end of the first round, Thomas.
So you can see that Ricky Thomas has skills, good combinations, but this is which James Toney has improved through. Against 90% of the guys, you're going to land both. Those are good.
Toney's just improved in every aspect of the game. His defense is considerably better. Although his jab is just terrific.
James Toney. You know, as a middleweight, what people remember is how he was decked in the second round, won by a split decision, and had to win the last 3 rounds to win the bout. And he won the last 3 rounds on McCallum, and the beat goes on. So he had some tough.
Let's take a step back.
The other thing, James used to look a little tentative when he would look like he was kind of taking breathers. Here he's staying on the outside, boxing.
And this not to detract from what Thomas is showing. What strikes me just sitting here watching this is you're on Top Rank Boxing, and then there's many that are just a cut above the champions for a while. I equate that with doing a season of team, which is the Golden State Warriors play, and well, such is the case. Very good challenge.
Talked about today to us, Barry, where he would throw the left hook and the right hand to the head of Toney. He didn't move to his right because it's so unnatural to do that.
Yeah, and it goes, of course, contrary to whatever.
Toney does that. There you look at the jabs and about Toney's doing better.
That was a left hand by Thomas that got there.
He's got an excellent left hook. That is his best punch. Most guys would not block both those double left hooks. Toney did. You're supposed to land one of those 2 punches when you throw a double left hook. Something.
Really a lesson that Toney is administering here, both offensively and defensively.
And throwing hooks, they're all good punch and hands. He is doing nothing that should lead you to believe that he wouldn't be effective in there, but he's not effective.
Yeah, there's nothing to criticize in what Ricky Thomas is doing. We said he came here to fight. He's fighting.
3-punch combination, and only the hook to the body lands for Thomas.
Slow up a little bit. Oh, good uppercut.
Smiles at him. He still ain't got it. Now, Ricky Thomas is being soft. Every time Thomas throws the hook, the short right hand is there from Toney.
This really is a clinic.
What's interesting, he might end up winning this round if some judges blocked everything. Yet Toney has probably been the sharper puncher.
So we come to the end of the way of Toney.
Where, as we were headed around for the punch profile, shows you something. Didn't you think I did that Thomas, guess what, only 2 more punches around. Perception is something, but yet the facts are another thing.
Use the body, and look at the totals through the 3 rounds.
Look at that. Toney has thrown more punches, and I have to say, Thomas has seized.
Quick right hand.
Excellent double left. Toney's a different fighter, and it's made me weak. You tend to wonder about him. Not a light heavyweight, but I assure you at this weight, at 160 is better than he was as a fighter.
Yeah, he's got that kind of body. Looks like
fight Prince Charles Williams. He's got a lot of things ahead of him, as he pointed out in that feature. They rolled it and said, let's have him fight a lot of the middleweight. they'll have to come to us. We'll be the guy they need. And I'll tell you, somebody like Roy Jones, I know everybody's second coming. He needs James Toney more than James Toney. Toney won't fight?
No.
Ricky Thomas still throwing pretty good combinations, but most of them are just not getting there. Now, Ricky Thomas is a quick-handed fighter, but Toney is just as quick, if not quicker, and more powerful.
Thomas continues to try. He's not just...
Yeah, he's doing more than trying. He's nothing in most cases. Instead, he's getting hit with counterpunches. Uppercut by James Toney. Oh, my.
Thing that a Pinto's not going to win a Kentucky Derby.
Rodeo in Phoenix is being held.
Is that the
cause?
He does that. Toney hooking.
He's excellent body puncher. And he fought in those middleweight fights where he would fight in quick spurts then stop.
What a right hook. Thomas almost everyone down. Thomas comes right back.
You know what this fight is making me want? This is going to sound Toney, and it'll make the matchmaker sitting right next to him, that even if Ricky, which is possible he might not.
Mr. Thomas, come on.
Toney, you know, the other thing is counterpunching ability. Counterpunch. That is part of what's giving Thomas problems in this match.
There was a good...
Toney's nice combination, just as he did against Darren Van Horn. It's doing even less for him here against James Toney. Another big name that he fought that he lost in 10. He really felt he beat him. To give you a clue.
Thomas, for the first time, takes a backward James Toney.
Knows what's coming from Ricky Thomas. Everything is either blocked or slipped. Of course, it's coming from Colfax. I still wouldn't have hit it.
And Toney, again, just in complete 33 power shots that he threw, and that speaks to exactly what you were...
The punches he threw, were not wild, crazy punches. Now James Toney is throwing, and you made the point, Barry, in the last round. For the first time, Ricky Thomas felt it seemed like he was affected by the power of Toney. Look at this. That are blocked. After that comes a left hook to the body that you don't block. One got there. By the way, we're on campus again in a bout in which it's going to be on pretty equal terms. He's got a good chance to win or put on. Versus the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Talking to us today, he had a lot of. This is not a bad fighter I'm fighting. I saw him fight Lamar Parks. I saw him in very good shape, James Toney. You know, he's slightly over the 168-pound limit. You know, they talked today about whether maybe Toney less than motivated to catch him on an off day. They didn't.
No. I think off days for him may be a memory.
I believe so. And I think a lot of it has to do with the weight. At 168, he can make the swing.
An uppercut. I'm sorry. By Toney. And around 6.
And Fernwood Resort. And
good edge. There's the uppercut again.
Of Toney taking over.
Make a step over.
For Ricky Thomas right now because he's technical to him. The jab will disrupt everything Ricky Thomas is doing. And Thomas wanted to get his own jab in against James Toney. Couldn't quite, has not been able to do it.
Hand speed of James Toney is really a marvel at this.
Weak, so he's
bell.
Now the Darren Van Horn defense is a mandatory defense, and in truth, that's going to be a very tough fight for Darren Van Horn against James Toney. He got whacked out by Iran Barkley, but it's a mandatory, and they have to do it, so Toney will do it. But after that, it's blue sky all the way. You got Nigel Benn, or Eubanks. Just Eubanks. Well, none is certainly a possibility. Now none, also a super middleweight champion. of another organization. And, you know, he dislikes the perception that somehow Roy Jones is Superman to him. I feel that he would go into that Roy Jones fight as an underdog.
I think it'd be competitive.
I have a lot of respect for Roy Jones' punching power. See, and Ricky Thomas bends down with his shoulder. Toney is simply too quick for him to execute that move.
So Toney continues to take Ricky Thomas to school in what has been a flawless performance so far. And around 7.
James Toney landing everything, including this uppercut on the inside against.
Do that. I mean, as you said, we watched that fight to this fight.
And Ricky Thomas. Now, here's what Ricky Thomas is doing now, and I don't think it's a bad idea. We'll get Toney out of his rhythm, and he can try to do. Well, if he should lose his 5th straight loss, he lost to Brian Bannon in 6, he lost to Darren Van Horn in 10, Lamar Johannesburg, South Africa in 10. At least 3 of those fights you feel it's a shame. It's not
away from the ring.
It's been a very, in many respects.
People is enlisting Larry Holmes' help.
I would if I was there.
Larry doesn't do that without being paid.
No. No way he did with Trevor Berbick one time.
That's true, yeah. Toney driving Thomas back with the left hand. And there's a huge right hand. And a left hand again. There was a counter left fight, but hasn't already been.
Toney throwing excellent combinations, good, short, sharp, crisp punches, and Ricky pointedly in the corner get off the rope.
Thomas has fought very good fighters that he's lost his last 5, because he definitely has skills.
Somewhere in there, everybody, I guess, apparently felt that he beat Darren Van Horn. And he's obviously not the kind of pull-out, not a huge power.
Triple jab, counter left, left hand and a straight right, right uppercut.
You know what's astonishing to me? That with all that's happened here in the 9th round, that Ricky Thomas is punches, and now they're getting a little wider, but it's getting nailed a little bit even more, but still. All the moves are there. Toney doesn't just land the right. He takes a step to his left to put instinctive moves built to give him assimilate him.
And like all the great ones.
And I have to tell you something. This has not always been so. Getting down the middleweight made him a lesser fighter. 68-pounder. In his 3 fights, he has looked infinitely better than he ever did as a middleweight for a couple of years. The people that are going to face him at this weight, that they're going to see a different guy.
Mary hurt Thomas, and Thomas goes down to the left hand at the bell. Can't be saved by the bell, though, and he does get up.
Ricky Thomas, we can't fault him for finally going down. That left hook, the one that really hurt him. Yeah, they feel like that would be more important for his future, is not to get hurt in this bout. And if he is going to get knocked, if you take a look at the numbers,
Cappuccino's going to take a break.
One thing, I'm sure he has earned the respect of James Toney with his performance today.
Uppercut drives him into the ropes again. It's not going to go far here. And that's it. Frank Cappuccino stops it. Fight's well stopped. Crowd boos. There's no reason to boo. It was absolutely.
Let's take a look at where the fight ended. They think of James Toney as an arrogant guy, and he's shown that side of him sometimes, and has not always been the most pleasant guy to be around before fights. But I got to tell you something. Today, as we both saw, he showed his humorous side, and I think if he shows more of that as he goes on in his championship reign as a super middleweight, he'll become even more marketable as a champion.
I think that's very true. He's doing himself a whole lot of favors in the last